At some point, power went out last night. You know, because these lights are freaking out. It always does that. Yesterday's coffee! Don't finish your coffee, put it in the fridge for tomorrow. Why didn't you think of that? Despite the power outage, didn't come out that bad. David here's A-OK, probably finished before whenever it happened. And of course we've got a Moai. I already took the spool off of this one, but came out okay. Got a very nice Nosferatu right here. Now this one did quit in the middle, so I did the restart, which a lot of times doesn't work. But it feels like it's restarted about right. Sometimes you get a small layer shift when it restarts, and if it's bad enough, you just can't keep it, obviously. But I think this is gonna be okay. Thankfully, Alien Boy, finito. Thankfully, Alien Boy, finito. This Einstein can, though, it's ruined. Technically, I could try to do the restart thing, but I just know on this printer it never works. Also, got the big T-Rex skull here, and this sucks, but I just sold this T-Rex skull, so there's plenty of time to remake it. Not a big deal. Apropos of nothing, I discovered this band Sparks last night, and they are really, really, really good. As a person who recorded 12 albums, I was always looking for new influences back when I made music and stuff. Things to just kind of get you outside of your box. I definitely listened to a lot of experimental music, but somehow I had never discovered the band Sparks. They're still around, and they were started in 1970 or something. They had this arc in their career where they were ahead of almost every major trend. Like, they kind of invented synth pop before synth pop, but in the 70s they were like some kind of weird blend between like Roxy Music and Queen and some kind of prog band or something. Anyway, this is a ridiculous album, but Kimono My House, their 1974 masterpiece, very worth checking out. Also, for a few years, their keyboardist wore a Hitler stash, but it wasn't like it was just a coincidence. He just liked the mustache. Eventually, enough people told him that he shouldn't wear it that he shaved it, but it was a strange era there for a bit. Daily reminder that I have this letterboard in the lobby. It definitely rained. Looks like it cleared up. Maybe we'll take a walk. Oh, I've been forgetting to take walks. Well, we'll do that today. I think one special project is going to be to get this guy painted. Looks pretty awesome. You can kind of see in the light there. Yeah. We're gonna get him painted. Maybe we'll get some pictures taken today, and we'll take a walk. But first, coffee time. A pretty wild thought occurred to me yesterday. So, a common feature of ancient languages is that they have fewer words, but each of those words has like more meanings. This isn't my specific area of expertise, but I think the reason that is because theoretically language started with 0 words, right? There just wasn't language. So there's a bunch of things to refer to in the world, and we develop words to describe them. But if you have only a few words, you're using those words for more things. I mean, who knows? But the first words might have been something like order and chaos. You know, chaos is where something is changing, essentially, or unknown. And then order is the opposite, where you understand how things work. So, you know, when you get frightened at something and you shout, you're kind of saying like something chaotic has happened. And maybe that would be like the first word or something. But anyway, the thought that occurred to me yesterday is, in the same way that ancient languages had fewer words, but each word was imbued with more meaning, it seems like ancient peoples had fewer experiences, but all of their experiences had more meaning. A bunch of people talked about this. Nietzsche had a bunch to say on this subject, but the scientific mindset has sort of infected our way of viewing the world in ways that we do not recognize. Like anything, it's not like science is exactly a bad thing. And I don't even know if I definitely want things to be different per se, but there are trade-offs with everything. So one of the interesting things to explore philosophically is, what are the trade-offs with having a scientific mindset, and in what sense do we have a scientific mindset and don't recognize it? One of the ways that we have scientific mindsets is we're very reductionist in the way we think of things, meaning like what we consider meaningful is the set of things that we understand and can like neatly comprehend. And we basically don't focus at all on all the things we don't understand, the aspects of things we don't understand. The very like extreme reductionist mindset thinks that those things we don't understand don't even exist. Like, I'm not getting into any specific theology or anti-theology, but we all know the cliche of the 14-year-old internet atheist keyboard warrior. They're all just like blah, 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 blah. And they're basically saying like, the things I don't understand don't exist. See, it's a tempting mindset because a lot of the things that don't make sense to you are truly nonsensical. Like, most propositions are wrong. You know, we could just prove this numerically. Like 2 + 3 = 5. 2 + 3 equaling 6 is wrong. 2 + 3 equaling 7 is wrong. Like, those are all propositions, and the vast overwhelming numeric majority of them are wrong. This is kind of what I'm talking about. The scientific mindset understands that most of things that seem nonsensical to us cannot be true, and it's completely right. But then they take the extra step of going, the things that don't make sense to us are always not true. In a sense, there's more that could be said about it, but in a sense, that's what reductionism is. So like, what's the point of saying all that? It's this. So if the ancient peoples had essentially no scientific understanding of the world in the way that we would understand it, at least, they were accepting a lot of ideas that were obviously complete nonsense by our standards. You know, like throwing your children into an active volcano is probably not going to stop the famine. Like things like that, you know, these weird beliefs that people had, obviously. So we've lost a lot of those really ridiculous ancient beliefs in some ways. But the ancient peoples, it's kind of like they just accepted everything, right? Because they had no way of differentiating, in a lot of cases, what is true and what isn't true. At least when it comes to something that would be solved by a scientific mindset. So basically, they were accepting a lot of nonsense, but they were also, you know, accepting that like 1% of things that are non-obvious that are true. The scientific mindset, the reductionist mindset, kind of thinks that, they never say it this way, but if something can't be done in a laboratory, in an experiment, or in a survey or some kind of systematic study, if there is a truth that can't be revealed in that way, it just doesn't think that's true, or at least it doesn't address it. Ancient peoples were not doing randomized controlled trials, so clearly they did not have this problem. If you just zoom out, clearly there would be things that very well might be real that are not amenable to scientific research. Like, are virtues real? Are virtues just something that humans developed that was useful behavior-wise? Is that all there is? Or is there something below the surface of that? You know, is there some kind of deeper reality that physical reality is almost sort of mirroring or building itself on? Clearly, it's hard to say because we're very used to approaching these kind of questions in a scientific type of mindset. But yeah, so I think ancient people had fewer types of experiences, and that made them more comfortable with their ignorance in the world. And while the scientific mindset has brought us a lot of things, it's also kind of distanced us from a lot of the most meaningful aspects of humanity. This is clearly true. So what's the takeaway from all this is kind of the big question. It's like, maybe understand that those basic human experiences are kind of what life's about, instead of all these little meaningless pursuits. It's like, we don't have to have total black and white thinking about this. Enjoy the modern world, you might as well, but realize that a lot of it is sort of dangerous and can really distract you from the important things in life. I would also say, don't be so in love with what you know that you discount the reality of potential, of all the things that you don't know. And don't think that it's a done deal, that everything we currently understand is all there is. Because throughout history, we've been discovering all kinds of stuff that was really counterintuitive. So why wouldn't that continue? It just feels like we have this opportunity to learn from ancient ways and maybe take the best of the scientific mindset, but combine that. Maybe that's what the 21st century is really going to be about, and the 22nd century is going to be about. It's like combining both of these things, like ancient wisdom and the things that generations before us really got right, that was super counterintuitive, and also find ways of harmonizing that with scientific discoveries, because it feels like we're going a little too far in the scientism direction. But that doesn't mean we just throw everything out. We don't have to go anarcho-primitivist here. We don't have to be Ted Kaczynski, but there is some kind of balance to be struck there. So that's my thought. I think it's also just like, look for the depth in things. Ancient peoples had very few experiences, but all those things were imbued with meaning. The feeling we have that everything is really superficial and stupid nowadays, that is a very true intuition, I think. So like, look for the depth in things. Don't have like these superficial relationships, at least exclusively. Don't think of your job as some meaningless thing, even if it seems that way, because you're spending your life on it. You know, there's depth and meaning to be found in all of these very basic things. It's there. It feels like it isn't there, but it's there if you look for it. I try to avoid just making everything a call to be more ambitious in life, but seriously, just don't settle. Don't settle for a bunch of superficial BS, because life is just about more than that. One thing that's deeply imbued with meaning, Dunkin' Donuts. The Dunkin' of life. As you guys may remember, it's the 15th. The 1st and the 15th are eat out days for me. I think we're gonna grab some Mexican. I think we're going to Taqueria 21. You know what? Change of plans, actually. There is a place I don't think we've ever been to on this channel. It's called Butcher Boys. It's a restaurant here in Nacogdoches that I want to say it's been featured on Food Network or some big YouTube page or something, YouTube channel. So we've never seen this before. I've seen it many times. We've never seen it. We're going there. Butcher Boys, yeah. Even though it's a barbecue place, decided to go with a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Their burgers and sandwiches are so good. It's hard to really convey how tasty this is. This is about to be delicious. Super good. A very good excursion. Yeah, so good. Like, their actual barbecue is kind of what they're known for, but they have these sandwiches that are just amazing. I had to get it. Oh yeah, I realized I forgot to take a walk, but it was raining, so would have been real muddy. Time to do a couple of these guys. Big reptile alien. Einstein. Time to do this guy. Maybe we'll try and get him painted and then photos. All right, time to do Nosferatu. Moai. Time to do the big D20. Got a David. It's going with the swag fade finish. Not a common one. You guys will see. Of course, we got the big David trash can. Got a small T-Rex skull right here. We're gonna do the eye thing with this guy here. Painting the eyes on the shark. Package a couple of these little nuggets. Of course, we've got a classic, an absolute stone finish classic Moai. Everybody gets a cupcake. A Manja Thinker. Turned out real sharp, actually. Another beautiful Moai. Well, that's a pretty solid day. Made a whole bunch of filament today. Got a real early jump on it. All the elves are making toys. All the big elves are making big toys. Time to close her down. Sneak preview for tomorrow. Ooh. Man, I am just so tired today. I'm barely making it. Sales were really big today. Just felt like a day that stuff was just not gonna stop selling, which is good. Not complaining about that at all. I am very grateful for it, but it does make you feel like, oh crap. It would have to be really, really extreme, but there is an amount of stuff that can sell where I kind of start panicking. It's like, do I even have enough printers for this stuff? But we're not really near that. It's just an old instinct kind of kicking in. I'll just give a real example, actually. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, there was a day during Christmas where $2,400 worth of stuff sold, I think, which is like, most of the cars I've owned were not that expensive. So even if you're prepared for a lot of sales and you've got a big shop and stuff, and then back then I had an employee, when you see that much stuff sell, it's that feeling like you're about to go over a hill on a roller coaster. So it just gets in you sometimes when it just seems like it just comes in and comes in and comes in. But I'm grateful. I really am. Before we dive in to Discord questions, tomorrow is the episode where you're going to write your questions in the comments. We're doing an episode 200 special where we're just answering tons of questions, and you're going to ask your questions on episode 199, which is tomorrow's episode. So just keep that in mind. Think of your questions. It's going to be a question answering extravaganza. We only do it every 100 episodes. This is episode 200, so it's a big deal. Wayne on the Discord says, maybe make a separate Discord channel for episode 200 questions, and then after 200, nuke it. No. Write them on YouTube, or if you're in the Discord, you can write them there too. But I just want to see a YouTube section with like 500 questions in it. Dash Render says, we need a title befitting the 200th episode. Episode 200, The Reckoning. Episode 200, Electric Boogaloo. In this theme, maybe we'll call it episode 200, Revelations. Ambassador Naranek says, 200 questions for episode 200. Could be. Get your questions ready. If you've never asked a question before, it's the time. Question. Eddie Funksta, I forget how he said to pronounce that, says, grateful for my lady's birthday on V-Day. Took her to Las Vegas for a good night out. That's a man of class. Box Thief says love. True. All right, guys, I'm about to pass out, so tell me what you're grateful for. Tell me what small moments of levity are lighting up your day. Tell me how your Valentine's Day went. It's not too late. I will read your comments, probably get an upvote, probably get a heart. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.